All right, let's do it live on a Victory Monday edition of the program. Bo and Z, merely Bo, the great Z, earbuds in. It's playoff time, baby.
Let's go.
It's time.
Let's go. Playoffs. Playoffs?
What a weird game.
It wasn't a game. I mean, it was an exhibition, and not a great one at that.
It was such a strange weekend in the NFL because you were in part kind of robbed of what could have been real drama last night because of what Jacksonville did. Jacksonville blew it.
They blew
it as big as you can. They were 8-3 at one point. They haven't been playing well for about a month.
They were the number one seed at that point.
Yeah.
Number one seed to out of the playoffs.
Yeah, and so because of that, you don't really get the drama last night. There were some great games, and there was a great thrilling game, including in our opponent that we'll see on Saturday down in Houston, where honestly, if Goodson catches the ball, we're going to Indy. It's the way that thing gets that simple. So it was strange. It was hard. I was trying to explain to the boys yesterday because they couldn't understand that we were playing for nothing. So they were like, Dad, Browns game, let's go. And I'm like, honestly, I don't even need to watch it. I mean, truly, I don't. And the boys were like, well, I don't understand. It's the Battle of Ohio. And I'm like, no, like we can't gain anything here. There's nothing gained by us. We just need to be on a plane at 3:40, healthy, and let's prepare for Houston. That's the whole job. And they had a hard time understanding what was happening.
Well, I get that. I think it would be confusing, but at the same time, it was as you laid out for them. It was a game about nothing, and it was you got some nice performances from some of your young players that I think were very encouraging. You had some not so good performance from some of your young players that said, okay, here's some good teaching tape for you to take into the offseason and get ready because you're probably not going to be seeing the field much in the playoffs. But yeah, that's all it was. It was kind of, surreal. Jim and I had a good time doing the broadcast. We called the game, but also, we're talking playoffs. We're giving people updated on what was going on in Jacksonville. And then now we go. We find out, it's going to be Saturday. We're kicking the playoffs off.
Yeah.
Last time we were on Super Wildcard weekend, we were the Monday night game. This time we are going to be the first game.
I was surprised that we were the first game. I thought it would be Philly and the Bucks in the first game.
So they put that Monday night.
They went Monday night on that.
I thought we would be 4:30 Saturday or Monday night.
Because let's be candid. This is the least desirable spot is the one we're in. I think Monday. Well, I mean, from a team perspective, Monday's the least desirable. From a ratings and television interest standpoint, least desirable would be this one.
You think?
Yeah, because the other two are prime time.
Yeah, but Saturday night
prime timers.
Peacock only.
Well, but that's a different conversation. That is the biggest. Gibby and I were talking about this. That's the
least desirable to me.
It's the biggest a league has ever leveraged its sport versus its partners against its audience. It's that we've never seen anything like this. I deal with this all the time because of college football. So Ohio State played a game on Peacock this year. It was the Maryland or Michigan State game. I can't even remember. And what it did is it basically forces you to subscribe to Peacock. That's the operation. And they're leveraging you into signing up for an app, and away you go.
Yeah.
So I've had it, and as is the plan with all of those things, it's worked because I haven't canceled it, and I've had it for 2 months. And so that's what that is on Saturday night is the biggest leveraging of that. I think that game, the Saturday night game is the second most attractive game from a rating standpoint on the whole calendar, with the only other exception would be Dallas and Green Bay is that'd be the number one draft pick.
Yeah.
So I think Kansas City, Miami is the number 2 pick.
Well, I think they did that because they want all the Swifties that are now watching the Chiefs to have to get Peacock.
It could be that. It also could just be very simply that the number 1 draft pick went to the Fox and they took Dallas, and then Peacock had the second pick and they went there, and it was. I just never seen it like that. Usually is
here's the thing,
down
though,
the road. You don't give that big.
When that was made, though, they didn't know who was going there. That could have very well been Chiefs Steelers if the Dolphins had won.
When what was made?
That the Chiefs game was.
No, they just wanted Kansas City.
That's what I'm saying.
So Kansas
they wanted Kansas City.
Regardless of opponent, Kansas City was the second biggest television draw behind the Cowboys. So Cowboys, from a rating standpoint, Cowboys-Packers is 1.
Yeah.
And then Chiefs would be the second biggest draw. In addition to the Swift stuff, just Mahomes and all of that, they've been gold. So that's the way that works. It's wild. So the crazy thing is almost all of these matchups are pretty good. The only one that's kind of a dud is Bucks and Eagles. That's it.
And I don't know if it is a dud because the Eagles are so bad.
Did you watch 6 yesterday at all?
It was terrible. I mean, we were keeping tabs on it. I mean, they couldn't even score a
They're
touchdown.
wildly incompetent.
And by the way, had the Panthers had what happened to them, what happened to us against the Chiefs in the playoffs, where it was a touchdown that turns into it's the worst rule in all sports. But
Chark fumbles out of
Yeah,
the end zone,
exactly.
which is crazy. They had another touchdown called off
on a penalty,
on a penalty,
legal formation,
and they missed a field goal. So all of those things happened
could've
for
won.
Carolina. They really could have won the game, and then the Saints would have got in.
Saints. I mean, I don't know.
Do we have it? Do you have it? We got to get.
We have it. I told Uno.
Do we have the audio of Jameis later? Okay. Folks, it's gorgeous. It is amazing, this human being. And the way that he talks about what happened at the end of the game, where they're in victory formation, and he makes a team decision to overrule
to
it,
give the ball to Jamal Williams.
to give him his first touchdown of the year. And it's not like it was a charity case. Like, Williams led the NFL in touchdowns
A
last
year ago, but he had 17. This year he had none.
It's zip. So, like, let's get it.
I so hope that for Arthur Smith that is the final image we ever get of Arthur Smith. Is
Him yelling at Dennis Allen.
cussing Dennis Allen out. And then did you see his buddy who walked by who had some more choice words that were awesome for Dennis Allen? And the funny thing is, in retrospect, Dennis Allen had nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it.
Nothing at all.
Nothing. He's got a rogue backup quarterback who has a complete disregard for authority.
And my guess is that's the end of his time in New Orleans. And
I would suggest.
Totally fine with it.
Seems like it. Seems like it. Yeah, I don't think you do that otherwise. So that's where you stand. So that we have.
I liked it. I'm all for it.
Oh, I'm a fan of interesting.
Yeah,
it was interesting.
same.
That made it more interesting for me. We've already had some coaches fired. We'll get you updated on all of that. The Hoff is going to join us at 1:30 from Germany. So you have that to look forward to as well. In terms of
oh man, I didn't even know it. It's real. He is out.
Who?
Arthur.
He was fired last night at like midnight.
Oh man, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Great.
No, midnight. He was fired at midnight.
I'm telling you.
Your boy.
I'm
Gone.
telling you. See ya. Great. Couldn't be happier about it. By the way,
Couldn't happen to
we
a nicer
both had
guy.
New Orleans yesterday. Great for actually scores weren't bad.
They were okay.
And they started really well.
red hot.
Red
I thought we were
hots.
going to go out on like a 13-3.
Ended not as hot.
Yeah, but I mean, how some of the stuff that happened in the afternoon window on Sunday was nonsensical
Inexplicable.
stuff. Yeah, it was really like the Eagles getting drilled.
We didn't have that. The Niners were cruising, and then like it felt like they just kind of stopped playing.
Yeah. Weird. But we told you last, and I still think we won. We're fine, right?
Yeah. Monken, by the way, Monken is in play. My dream
with Atlanta,
yes, is still in play. Yeah, we really went cold as ice in the second half.
It would have been money.
Yeah.
That is not that hard. Our dream could work where your dream and mine coincide, and he goes down there and coaches the Falcons, and then they trade for Fields.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the marriage.
That's
like
the
you
marriage.
do that, and then that Falcons operation is on the come.
So I think we both ended up at 9-7 this week.
Yeah, 9-7 is what I had.
Considering that we were both 6 out of the first 7, we were 6-1
killing
after 7.
Yeah,
a little bit of a limp home to the finish there.
but we also the ones that if you go back and listen to the score segment from Friday, the ones we were emphatic about, I don't think we got one of the ones we were emphatic about wrong, except for maybe Philly.
Not early. Yeah, we got wrong together
I thought
at
for
the
sure
end.
Philly would handle business.
We got the Chargers wrong. We got the Niners wrong. We got Philly wrong.
Philly is the one that.
And then me.
Philly and the Niners hurt.
Yeah.
I thought the Niners.
If I had known, because remember at the time when we did this, I took Miami in that game because I was like more like I was trying to will them to be.
Yeah.
Because maybe at that point, so I would have once we knew the Jags were out, that might have changed my thing on that, but that's fine. But the ones we were unified on, other than afternoon, we were not good. Washington,
not good.
Chargers, Niners, Eagles got us all.
So we finished like 60-some games over 500, though. So you're welcome.
That would be 70 for you. Sir.
Did we get to 70?
You hit 70. I'm at 68. I'm a laggard.
Great job out of you.
Great
That's
job out of
crazy.
you.
That's
Great
a crazy
job
job out of us.
Crazy. It's insane.
Yeah, it really was. This is a hell of a wild card weekend in the NFL. We will kick it off at 4:30 on Saturday in a game that will be broadcast on NBC. It will be down in Houston against the Texans. Noah Eagle, Todd Blackledge will be on the call. They do a good job. This is going to be a very different team than the team we saw just a couple of weeks ago.
C.J. Stroud's going to play.
This team, because they're going to have C.J. Stroud.
Will Anderson's going to play.
Yeah, they're going to play. Yeah. I will be candid with you. I was confident and very confident for us against anybody in the South because of how great Stefanski's been against the South, and I liked all of the matchups versus any of the other divisional matchups that you may have to play. But I do think this is the most dangerous of the South teams. Indy would have been least dangerous, and then Jacksonville just hasn't been right in a month.
Jacksonville's the most dangerous on paper because they can roll out Lawrence, Etienne, Kirk, get Kirk back.
It's crazy,
Ingram,
though, right?
Ridley.
They've been bad for a month.
They have.
It's weird.
The thing for me with Houston that's interesting is what do they do best, right? They throw the ball, and they typically throw it to one wide receiver, Nico Collins. Well, that's what we do.
We do that well.
We do the best against that. And you go and you look at kind of the comp for the Texans in terms of playing an elite pass defense. They can rush the passer and then cover on the back end. I think the best comp to us is probably the Jets. And the Jets shut them down.
Yeah.
And ultimately knock C.J. Stroud out of that game.
Yep.
So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, Stroud was incredibly clutch in the game against Indy on Saturday. I saw this morning from NFL on CBS. 3 quarterbacks in the last 50 years have led the NFL in passing yards per game, passing touchdowns, and interception ratio in the same season. Do you know who they are? There's 3 of them.
3 ever?
Ever in the last 50 years.
C.J. Stroud.
Yep.
Based on the leading there. I'm going to say Peyton Manning.
Nope.
Never. Not even the year in Denver.
I guess not.
Drew Brees.
The year was 1989.
Was the last time it happened?
No, it's happened twice.
Okay.
But the
Joe
first
Montana.
one, 1989, Joe Montana, the great. And the other is Tom Brady.
2007?
Yep. Those are the 3 times that a quarterback has led the league in passing yards per game and passing touchdowns and interceptions.
Joe Montana.
In a single year. Joe
Didn't hear
Montana.
Steve Young's name.
Did not. No. Joe Montana, Tom Brady, C.J. Stroud.
By the way, the 2 GOATs.
Yep.
So pretty good company to be in if you're C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
The one throw he made where they thought he was throwing it away, and he completed it to Collins, like backing away 40 yards, floating it out to the right, was incredible.
Yeah. No, he's that.
It's also a rookie first playoff game.
Oh no. I like us a lot. More than we're favored for a reason. Our defense with rest and us healthy. I like us a lot. In the game.
No, it was. I think everybody. We went
favorable.
through it. It was everybody's. If you were to rank the teams in the AFC South that you wanted to face, they would have been the 3rd of the 3. But not
but
afraid.
It's fine. No. And favored for a reason. That the Panthers cleaned house. So coach fired obviously mid-season, general manager fired as well. That trade has the potential to go down as it's like the Herschel Walker trade with the Cowboys. I mean, they have their 3 best players on their roster out of contract. They have to rebuild their offensive line, rebuild their receivers. They have not a coach. They don't have a general manager. They gave up all the picks and DJ Moore, and then they're picking again. They could have just taken – it's got the potential to be like Sam Bowie type situation for them. Really does.
Yeah, not great. It's brutal. So the NFC South is – you had 2 jobs there, 2 wide open jobs, and frankly, one of them is attractive and one of them is not. Carolina is not an attractive job. I don't know how you could possibly
The Carolina
spin
build is you'd have to believe so big in Bryce Young.
Who could?
You couldn't, and then you'd have to. Tepper, now he will overpay. He's proven that. He paid Matt Rule $75 million.
Sure.
So he will give somebody $15 million a year to take that job, and quite frankly, you'll need it. Atlanta's not that far off. In terms of from our perspective, what was it like? What was the kind of the feeling around the team heading into Sunday, and obviously the health wise, because that's really what this was all about, was to be healthy heading into Saturday.
Yeah, I think everybody, you're feeling good. I think the questions now are, will you be able to get Dustin Hopkins back? Will you be able to get Grant Delpit back? These are kind of the questions that, you're really looking at. Will Mike Ford be good to go for the playoffs? As we see, speaking of some of the news around the National Football League, Glenn Cook getting an opportunity to interview for the general manager job of the Washington Commanders.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yes, he will be a GM soon for sure. I think those are kind of your big health questions right now. Other than that, you're in pretty good shape. Amari should be good to go. Your principal guys on defense are good to go. The other question probably is Juan Thornhill. So you're saying And I picked up on something in the game, and I don't know if you were watching it or watching it closely. If you were watching it, probably not. Ronnie Hickman got out of that game pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Which makes me think that they view him as he might have to be that free safety in the playoffs, which makes you wonder about Thornhill. But Thornhill, D-Hop, Delpit, those are kind of your big questions of what their availability is and at what point in the playoffs. And D-Hop, obviously, you need him. He's best kicker in the NFL. Yeah, and this playoffs, you think back to the runs that Jim and I were talking, the run that the Bengals went on. And obviously they had a lot of good things going for them, but one of the things that really helped them in that playoff run the year they went to the Super Bowl is Evan McPherson was money. Didn't miss a kick, made a lot of kicks that won games. So that's kind of, that's really what you're looking forward to there. And that's really kind of the only question. I think around the team, the stars are pretty relaxed.
Yeah.
I thought some of the kids they brought up and, gave an opportunity to or who got bigger opportunities did pretty well. I thought Isaiah McGuire looked good. Alex Wright has really ascended in a massive way. It was good to see Obo back out there. And I thought on the back end, your trio, which is incredible, of Hickman, DeAnthony Bell, who had a pick on the opening drive, Jerron Harmon, who's looking good. They played very well. And I thought the corners did too. I like the kid Vincent Gray, that they brought up from Michigan.
Okay.
I thought he had a nice showing. Tackled well, covered Jamar Chase well, looked pretty good. The only Halasi was the only one who really gave up a touchdown in coverage, but I thought that Vincent Gray looked pretty good out there.
This is every team in this division has a winning record.
First time it's ever happened in the NFL.
Yep. So everybody has a winning record. Everybody does so. The three teams at the bottom all do so with myriad quarterbacks, multiple injuries across the board, and certainly at the franchise position. The only one who, oddly enough, like if you were to bet, you would have said, well, Lamar doesn't finish seasons, and then he's the one who comes out unscathed. He's going to win the MVP. Yeah. They're the number one overall seed. Anybody could have had Lamar this summer. Could have had him. Atlanta could have had him. Carolina could have had him. Carolina could have just kept all the picks and tried to sign Lamar Jackson to a guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
And ship the picks to Baltimore, and he could be there with DJ Moore.
Yep.
Right now, they could have done that. They didn't. Every team with a winning record. This is the deepest, best this division has ever been.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah. And got 3 teams in, as you mentioned. It's 4 teams with a winning record. Yeah. And it's
depth. Each operation has such incredible depth.
It'll be curious to see how it goes. I mean, it feels like the Steelers are going to have a very tough time without T.J. Watt going into Buffalo and winning that game.
Of course. But how are they in the postseason?
It makes no sense because of the collapses around them.
Yeah.
I mean, just some real collapses happened, and they won 10 games.
I know. How did they win 10 games? How did we win 11 with 4 or 5 quarterbacks?
They won 10 games with losing in consecutive weeks at home to the Patriots.
Oh, that's right.
And the Cardinals.
That's right.
Now, the Cardinals are much friskier than we thought, and they did a very good job for the scores against Seattle. In fact, I actually thought they were going to win that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, they still won. I mean, we thought they were going to be in at that point when they were, I think, 7-4 or 7-5.
Yeah, you're like, oh, great, they're back in.
Yeah, they're going to be in, and they are. Now they won't. It looks like they won't have T.J. Watt. That'll be tough for them to overcome, obviously. But yeah, what they look like next year is very unclear to me. What the Bengals look like next year is they're going to have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but beyond that, you don't know what they're going to look like offensively at the skill positions. I don't think you have any idea.
Yeah, Burrow talked today, and he said that when he did his deal, it was with the understanding that there would be enough money to keep Higgins and Chase. That's what he said today. He said he's a Bengal. I anticipate him being a Bengal.
Yeah, well,
I don't know how
that's wishful thinking.
Could yeah. I don't know. I thought it was interesting though that he said when I did my deal, we did it with the idea that we'd be able to keep everybody. So, but there's not enough money.
They already didn't keep Jesse Bates.
Yeah, there's not enough money to go around.
No, it's a finite thing, and so all of a sudden, are there top 3 receivers? Trent Irwin, Jamar Chase, Trent Irwin, and Yoshi Vash, who's a touchdown maker. Guys got 4 touchdowns on, I think, 14 catches this year. Pretty good. Or, the kid they drafted out of Purdue, Charlie Jones, who can run around a little bit. It's going to be a very different operation.
This was their year.
Yes.
They knew it.
Mixon, the way he left the field yesterday was very much like a goodbye.
Yeah.
He didn't quite take the microphone like Derrick Henry and say goodbye.
Right. But it certainly had that feeling.
It had that vibe. He really took a lot of time, took pictures, was videoing the whole thing as he walked out in kind of that corner.
Yeah, that's kind of the end of it there. And then the craziest thing about Pittsburgh is like Rudolph was far and away their most capable quarterback.
Yeah.
He completed almost 75% of his passes in 3 starts.
It's crazy.
They've had him forever.
Forever.
He's been they brought in Trubisky ahead of him to be the 2.
Oh, yeah.
Then they drafted Pickett. He's been the 3.
He started at various points.
I know.
And didn't have this success.
Yeah. And was easily their most capable quarterback going forward. I have no idea. And honestly, I mean, just think about how different we're going to be.
By the
That's
way,
why when you're in these moments, you have to take full advantage because you don't know when they're going to come back, man.
totally. Right. You're here. It's a new season. It's a clean slate. Yeah, absolutely. You got to make the most of it here. This Browns team could beat anybody. We still got to start taking care of the football, and it really doesn't matter who's been playing for us. We don't take care of the football at the level that we certainly want to, but that's what you've got to – that's what you're really – that's got to be the focus. I think we have a chance to go down into Houston, and then my guess is the way that it's looking now, and this would be all – this is far too early to speculate on, but it does feel like KC Miami is the one where it could get the other way. That to me feels like maybe the best game where a lower seed could, or a higher number lower seed being the 6 seed could beat the 3.
They're just so beat up.
They are so beat up, and Tua did not look good in big moments yesterday at all.
No, and they're just so.
But no Waddle, no Mostert, and my guess is they are trying to get those guys ready for the playoffs. I think it's gonna be hard for Pittsburgh to go into Buffalo, so it is setting up. It looks like a pretty good chance. You take care of business down in Houston as you're supposed to do, that you have an opportunity to have that story where Joe Flacco goes to Baltimore.
It sets that way.
Yeah. Or are they going to Buffalo or Baltimore? I mean, you know that.
Yeah. Because Buffalo will be for them to think about when they woke up Saturday morning, control their own destiny in the fact that if they won, they were in. But also could have been looking at if you lose, you're out of the postseason altogether. And then by the time everything kind of shakes out and they have Jacksonville lose, and then really they're just playing for seeding is all they're playing for on Sunday night. This Buffalo team was lost, and they've been one of the hottest teams in football for the last month. They've won the division now 3 straight times. If you're in their spot, you say, we've been knocking on the door on this thing, and now we're going to bust through it. But then you watch the game last night, and Allen just throws the ball to the other team in the end zone. Just stupefying.
There are more teams winning games, and the Browns certainly would be amongst them, right?
Yeah,
where they do things that you typically associate with that's going to cost you the game.
Yes.
And it didn't. Even for Houston. Houston misses that extra point.
Yep.
You're like, okay, that's going to cost them the game. Didn't. It's wild. It's a strange year. This is the year to get in and take advantage of all the craziness that's going on, because why not? Why not?
Yeah, it's
Why
there
not?
for you.
It's all there.
It's going to be a fun week. And as you did mention, our good buddy Glenn Cook did walk by, and he will interview. The Browns have given the Commanders permission to interview for the general manager job over there in Washington. They go Bob Myers, who is the architect of the Warriors machine in Northern California. He's going to be a consultant on that operation in Washington. Rick Spielman consulting on that as well. Yeah. So they're going to try and get that thing right in Washington. We shall see. The Joe Thomas half hour of the program is coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. One of the most passionate fan base in the NFL. Join Next Gen STM, presented by Ticketmaster, the official waitlist for the Cleveland Browns. Being a Next Gen STM is the best chance to become a season ticket member in future seasons. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/NextGenSTM to reserve your spot today. By the way, pretty good home slate next season. Mahomes, the Cowboys.
Yeah, you got a good.
It's pretty good.
Solid.
Pretty good. And so is this. Der Hoffenkaiser joining us from Munich. Hoff, how are you?
Oh, muchas gracias. De nada. Still working on
Wrong
my
country.
German
Wrong
here,
country.
but-
There. Wrong country.
Vallarta.
We're not in Puerto Vallarta anymore. This is in Bucerius.
I'm confused. I'm doing fantastic. Wunderbar. No, thank you guys. What a tremendous intro. Der Kaiser, you gave me the tremendous background on that nickname, Bo, which I always appreciate you diving into the history books and digging out some sports history to educate us all. That was a bravo on your part. That was a really big B effort for all of you listening at home. Der Kaiser, most famous German soccer player of all time. And now, next time I see my boys tomorrow, actually Tuesdays and Thursdays, we got workouts, I'll be able to bring up how much of a German soccer fan I am and maybe make a little connection with the fellas.
So this is, for those who are not on the text exchange, the Franz Beckenbauer is one of the 4 or 5 best players in the history of soccer, and he's the most beloved and best player in German history. And in 2006 for the World Cup, Adidas put out a retro jersey of him. His nickname was Der Kaiser, which in German means the Emperor. And on the back of the shirt, it just said Der Kaiser instead of Beckenbauer. And I thought that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And so
is he one and then Mueller?
Yeah, Mueller.
Muller's.
Yeah, Gerd Mueller would be right there as well. And they've got a bunch of them. They've won the cup in 2014. But those guys from those 70s.
That jersey, that was so sweet.
It's so ridiculous. And I thought, God, I mean, the Hoff, Der Kaiser, the Emperor. I love it.
Man, love it. By the way, Hoff, I love that you feel like you're the one that needs to impress the offensive line group of the Munich Ravens and try to bond with them when they're getting an NFL Hall of Famer coming over and giving his time to coach them. They should be trying to make connections with you, Hoff.
Guys, but that's the coolest thing for me, right? Like, I am feeling like I'm going back to kindergarten. Like, it's back to my first day in the NFL when I'm mouth closed, eyes wide open, just trying to make that good first impression because yeah, I've got a Hall of Fame playing career, but this truly is my first time coaching outside of my runner-up finish in 7-year-old flag football this fall. This is my first like real dive into doing like the whole coaching thing from soup to nuts. And so I feel like a great pressure for these guys that have expectations about me as a coach to be able to come over here and give them everything that they've wanted from a coach that they expect from a Hall of Fame player. So it's cool, man. I had nerves like you wouldn't believe for our first workout together, which literally all we did was it was like a sprint workout where we did some drills, but it was just cool having that first time feeling all over again, and that's why this week has just been awesome already.
What is the biggest what is something that has been surprisingly easy, and what is something that has been surprisingly hard the first week abroad for the Thomas family?
So surprisingly easy, maybe not that surprising, is that we found some great restaurants already.
Good.
You know, sometimes people dig at German food. They're like, you know, it's just sausage and pretzel and beer, which, hey, who doesn't love those things? The way, you know, people dig on UK British food, right?
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, Munich has some fantastic restaurants. We found an amazing burger place the other night. My son, Jackie Boy, had a 1 pound of meat burger called the Big Mission at this awesome restaurant that we went to, a burger place that one of the guys on the team recommended. We found a great pizza place already at, what was the name of the place? Al Pacino's. Yeah, believe it or not, the Italian restaurant named Al Pacino's was filled with legit Italian immigrants, and it was awesome. They had incredible pizza and pasta. We found a sushi place, one of those running sushi places where you sit at the bar and you just grab whatever you want.
I like that.
And of course, my son Jack, I'm gonna hate it. He was like in tears as we went in, and then he's the guy that eats like 7 plates of sushi, and he's like, "Hey, this place is pretty good." I'm like, "Yeah, I told you, dude, you're gonna love it. It's rice and fish and crispy shrimp and fried chicken. Like, it's everything you love, and with salt and sugar. Like, this is amazing. Of course, you're gonna like it." And I would say, I did have my welcome to European football moment. just like everybody that plays in the NFL or covers the NFL, y'all always feel that moment where you're like, whoa, I'm finally here. Like this is what it's all about, or maybe this is surprising in a way that makes me sort of comprehend the situation that I'm in. And this was, man, my days are really screwed up because it's 7:30 at night, and I know back home it's like noon, and like I'm talking asynchronously with people like in the middle of the night and then in the morning. But I think it was yesterday we had one of our workouts, and in the middle of the workout, I'm running a drill, and our starting tight end comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, you have pretty big feet," and I'm like, "Yeah, I got big feet." And he's like, "What size shoes are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm like a 14 and a half or a 15." He goes, "I need to talk to you after practice." And I'm like, okay, cool. Like figuring that maybe he saw my shoe game as weak, which it is. It's not that great. It's not no Big Z shoe game, who's by the way got great shoe game.
Thank you.
And so after practice, I'm talking to my lineman, and I'm getting ready to walk out, and he comes over and grabs me. "Hey Joe," or he said, "Hey Coach Thomas." He says, "I'm a size 15, and I don't have any cleats. And I can't find cleats in Germany that fit me.
Oh
Can I
my
have
gosh.
some of your old cleats?" And I was like, oh my gosh, we're playing professional football.
Brad
and
Mellon
my
ain't
man
walking
does
through
not
the
have
door.
cleats.
There's not a whole cleat
Yeah, I'm like,
room.
And he's like, "Where do you get your cleats?" And I was like blown away by that question. Yeah, because I'm like, I don't know. I walk in the equipment room and there's like probably no less than 1,000 pairs of size 15 cleats. You want Nike? You want Under Armour? You want Adidas?
Right.
You want something else? Like, look at everything. But in Europe, we can't even find cleats. You can't even buy them. So
Wow.
if Brad Mellon, if you're listening like you always are, I may be calling in a favor from Munich, Germany, my man.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. So, what's your schedule like? How often are you practicing? What's your schedule like for the coaching responsibilities?
Yeah, so it's totally new for me getting used to this schedule because basically even the coaches, basically the whole team works jobs during the day or they're in school. And so for us, everything kind of starts after the workday is done. So 5 o'clock out here, 6 o'clock is where everything starts, which I'm used to up early. Like I work out at 5:30 in the morning when I'm back home, and then we have our normal workday. And even when I was playing, I was in the building by 6:30. You eat breakfast, you practice, blah, 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 everything, and then you're home by 4:35, 6 o'clock, whatever. So it's been a little adjustment already. And then the fact that I'm still working some stuff back home, that's been an adjustment. But out here, basically Sunday night we have team run, and then I get a chance to do some drills with the guys. And then Tuesdays and Thursday nights, I lift with these guys, which is so fun for me. Like to pretend that I'm still an athlete and I'm hanging out with these dudes, and I get a chance to lift side by side. And hopefully they're thinking it's cool too. Like, hey, NFL Hall of Famer, like we're in the same squat rack, we're lifting together. But that's been a real joy for me. And then Friday night and Saturday morning, my guys who don't live in Munich, which is kind of a weird thing for me that I've got guys on my team that live like a plane flight away that just fly in for the weekends, and that's the way it's going to be even like during the season is going to be unique and interesting. But that Friday night, Saturday morning is strictly O-line drills. We're doing an hour and a half. We'll have our first one on Friday. I wrote up like 3 legal pad worth of drills that we're going to just like drill into their mind. It's going to be Chinese fire drill as fast as we possibly can. We're going to try to hammer them and get as many reps as possible and try to make these dudes better and try to realize their dreams and win a championship and drink some German beer along the way.
I love it. One more Germany one for me, and then we will talk football with you as well. But all right, so Bayern Munich they've got Hoffenheim on Friday. Then they Sunday they got Werder Bremen on Sunday the 21st, and then the 24th they got FC Union Berlin. So you have got to get you and the family are going to Allianz. Which one of those you have to? You have to. That would be Apex Germany would be Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena. Which one of those have you made plans yet to get to one of these games?
That's right, Bo. I'm not a soccer fan.
Doesn't
However,
matter.
I'm not one of these football guys. Well, all right, I'm not one of these football guys like, oh, I don't like soccer, because I love all sports. Any competition, human athletics, going head to head, like I'm all in, especially in an atmosphere like that, which I didn't know until I got over here, but Bayern Munich is like the goat of all goats as far as German soccer teams, like going way back forever.
Oh,
like
yeah.
they murder everybody.
Yes.
Everybody else in the league hates them. It's kind of like the Patriots from when I was playing, right? And I thought, hey, what a great way to kind of start building a bond with my offensive line, which is what I'm really trying to do. Like, let's get together as many times as we can. Like, I'm going to foot the bill for every time we go out to dinner. Like, I want to have the great experiences. Like, let's do all the things, right? And so I'm like, wouldn't it be cool to take these dudes to a Bayern Munich game? We'll get like a VIP box. We'll take like the 10 of us. We'll drink, liters of beer out of like pitchers, which is what they sell at Allianz. Because I did the German game here 2 years ago, and I remember looking up in the crowd and seeing a pretzel that they were selling at the game the size of a hubcap. I'm not kidding you. And then a beer that was legitimately just a pitcher. I think it was probably 2 liters. It was bigger than a liter. It was the biggest beer I've ever seen sold in a stadium. I'm like, this is going to be peak living, right? Like, I can't imagine a better way to hang out and bond with my linemen. So I went on StubHub because I'm like, okay, find some tickets, a VIP box for those games that you mentioned that were coming up. Tickets are starting at €1,000
That's right.
per ticket for those games. And that's not even the best of the best seats. And so I instantly lowered my expectations a little bit. But we're still going to get into those games. I want to take my family to one of those because they're huge, and I know that they'll love that environment. And I got to take the boys to a game on the weekend where we can kick back a few brews, a few Hellas, and enjoy ourselves. So I'm not sure exactly which one because right now I'm still trying to figure out how my €1,000 per month salary over here as a coach is going to get split up amongst 10 guys when tickets are €1,000 per game, but we'll figure it out. We're gonna have a great time, and I can't wait. And I will definitely let the big B's know about the experience.
We got to know about that.
Maybe you got to get some of your you got to figure out get Crown Royal over in Germany so you can start just doing some bartending at some Hofbrau houses and pay for all your tickets.
Yeah, there's some side jobs here.
That's awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Amazing. All right, Huff, let's talk. Obviously, we'll talk Browns in a second. We know they're going to Houston. Before we do, though, to me, the biggest story in the NFL coming out of yesterday was what Jameis Winston did at the end of the Saints-Falcons game. Are you familiar with this?
I am. So with the time change and the fact that for some reason my YouTube NFL ticket with a VPN, which I thought was foolproof, was not working, and we had to work out, I missed most of the NFL games. But I caught up on Twitter. I caught up this morning with the highlights when I woke up. And I did see the Arthur Smith exchange with Dennis Allen, and I was like, wow, that seemed a little heated. What happened? And I saw what happened where they lined up in victory on the 1 yard line and handed it off and scored a touchdown. But the best part was when Jameis said, yeah, it was a team decision.
Amazing.
Can you imagine, as a head
Only
coach
him.
being like, this dude just sold me down the river and said it was a team decision. But that.
Well, he said it was a team decision that didn't involve the coach.
That's right.
He said
DA.
yes.
Okay.
He said D8 had no idea. He was like, but there's we talked to the players and we decided to do this. We asked him. So he asked Dennis Allen, we want to get Jamal Williams this touchdown. Can we do this? And Dennis Allen said, absolutely not. So then they went out there in victory formation. And then they just talked about it, I guess, in the huddle. We're like, this is what we're doing. They did it, touchdown. And then, so when he says team decision, he means the players, after the coach had already told them no. This would be like, you tell your kids you cannot do this, and then they go get together and are like, actually, we're going to do this, and then do it. And then they're talking to the meeting and be like, yeah, Dad had nothing to do with this. In fact, he told us no. We did it anyway.
Oh, it's beautiful. So do you think Jameis Winston is going to be the first quarterback in NFL history that gets 2 coaches fired on one play in one game?
Well, he's going to be fired.
I think
before
he's going to be
Dennis
fired.
Allen,
Yeah, I don't think
guess.
Dennis Allen's going anywhere. I think he's out. That's the end of Jameis in New Orleans. Yeah.
And maybe taking meaningful snaps anywhere.
I don't know, though. I feel like there are a lot of people that are loving this interview that he gave.
Well, we do. I don't know that prospective teams
Not
do.
coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not.
Here's the thing I like, and Jameis, one of his points that he was making was everybody's complaining because he's like, look, it was 41-17 already. This game was over. The reason that they were at the 1 yard line, Hoff, is they had gotten an interception, and the guy tried to run it back for a touchdown, but got tackled kind of going into the end zone. They spotted it, at the 1. And so Jameis is like, why? Nobody's complaining that he was trying to score on the interception. Like, what's the problem? He's like, we all love Jamal Williams. He hadn't had a touchdown all year. He's battled through a bunch of different stuff. We wanted to get him a touchdown, and we did.
Team
How
decision.
delusional do you have to be to stand up there at a press conference and legitimately in your mind, because I don't think he was like fabricating. I think he
No.
really believed
No.
the things he was saying.
Yes.
Like to legitimately try to defend that decision as like, no, it makes sense because
perfect.
we were in victory formation, but we like the guy, and we don't really care what the coach says because we don't respect him anyway. And we tried to score on the play before, and to not have the ability to understand the commonalities and the cultural
the
football
decorum.
culture of like the decorum of how to act in that situation is beautiful. And the fact that Arthur Smith got fired like shortly after that.
Well, we
just like
can't stand
adds-
him. Yeah, good riddance.
Yeah, right.
get him
It
out.
just adds a like heaping a cup of sugar on top of that fire. It's beautiful.
Like you have to wonder because what you said, you hit on something that I think is very important, which is why you asked the question probably if Dennis Allen's going to get fired. Clearly, the players don't respect him.
No. Yeah.
And so if they don't respect him, can he be the leader of the football team? Something that they would have to seriously assess, right? The other thing is now, do you have to have an inquisition? Because it wasn't just Jameis acting alone. People blocked for him. Like,
oh, yeah.
So then do you have to go through everybody that was in the game? And did you vote yes or no for this? Do you have are we having is Dennis Allen having a trial?
That might be honestly the biggest reason Allen gets fired is that it was everybody disrespect. If he gets fired, that's the biggest reason why is because basically this team has no respect.
Like just
or
because
did just Jameis and Williams go rogue?
Jameis is no, because you saw it. Like they clearly.
Well,
It's-
yeah.
Calais Campbell said that Jameis Winston changed the play, which I don't know if that means he did at the line of scrimmage or if they did in the huddle or what. But Jameis Winston definitely changed the play. I think
It's
something
great.
like what would be the talk in the locker room? Would people be like, "Oh my God, can you believe that?" Like, would people be like, what would actually be happening in a locker room, Hoff?
I would love to see like a very public Joseph McCarthy trial of the players, like a red communism trial of like, what did you know, and at what point did Jameis Winston convince you to change the play and go for the touchdown, right? To try to save the coach's job. I mean, how beautiful is that? I think what he meant to say, what he meant there was like we got in the huddle and the play came in, take a knee, and I was like, nah, we ain't doing that.
Not doing that.
Nobody thought twice about it. It's not like this. It's not like Jameson is your starting quarterback. Like if Peyton Manning's in the huddle and he tells me like we're running this play, you run that play, right?
Yes.
If your backup quarterback's saying that, you would think there was somebody that would be like, whoa, I respect my coach more than I respect my backup quarterback, and so I'm going to say no. I'm going to put a stop to this. But the fact that they all went through with it is why I'm saying Jameis is going to be the first guy ever to get two coaches fired on one play.
Unreal.
He might be. So it kind of a strange day in the league. Some of the games mattered, some didn't. Ours obviously didn't. We were, trying to get out of it healthy and get to this game. We knew by the time that I guess you didn't know by the time that it kicked, but the Jacksonville game was unfolding at the same time. You knew that it was potentially going to be Houston. We played them not that long ago, but they were without C.J. Stroud. What do you make of the matchup with Stroud and the Texans on Saturday, Hoff?
Well, it's definitely going to be a fun one. Obviously, Browns back in the playoffs, having the full complement of dudes back in there is going to be awesome. But the C.J. Stroud, I mean, he makes me nervous. Like, I know Ohio State fans have known him for a long time, and they've been on his bandwagon. But as good as he's been playing, I mean, he's shown that he's a Tier 1 quarterback in the NFL, and he can read a defense, and he can dice up anybody. And so it's got me pretty nervous. I know that plenty of people feel like, oh, okay, we're the better team, better record, so on and so forth. But the fact that when you have a difference maker at quarterback, anything can happen in the playoffs. And so defensively, being able to get to him early, I think Myles Garrett having a big first half is going to be enormous to try to rattle the confidence a little bit because the stakes have changed a little bit. I know he was cool under pressure all season long, and that's his personality. But the playoffs are different, and you feel that pressure as a rookie. Not that I ever played in the playoffs, but I would assume that you would feel that pressure early as a young quarterback and feel all the eyes that are upon you, and that an opportunity to get him rattled for the Browns in that first half is going to be absolutely key to being able to win down the stretch.
When you played a team but you have not played their quarterback, it's as if, and in my opinion, you haven't played that offense.
Yeah.
And so you have, conceptually, though, what it is that they like to do and how you want to attack it. And, now they did have their defense. They didn't have some of their pieces there, but we know they play a ton of zone. We played them. That was Christmas Eve. When you turn around and play a team again
crazy.
that quickly, how much of what you did before carries over, and how much of the game plan then has to become, they're expecting us to do this. This is what worked. This is how we kind of zig and zag off of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you play a team that closely on turnaround, there is a ton of carryover. And I know there's going to be some wrinkles and changes, but at that point in the season, both teams were playing for their playoff lives. So you got the best version of both people from a schematic standpoint. It was, at that point, the best scheme that they could put together for the personnel that they had, which is largely going to be the same when it's our offense versus their defense.
Right.
And so I don't think you're going to see that much of a difference from a scheme standpoint outside of a few wrinkles. And also, I think I give the Browns offense another advantage with the experienced players that we have. Typically, the more experience you have, the more layers you have in your game, the more different concepts you can throw out there and be proficient at. And I think just having a little bit more of that experience on our offense with Flacco and some of the vets that we have at the skill position plays into our favor, the fact that we played them recently, and we'll be able to add more wrinkles more easily than they will on their defense.
So in a game like this, does it become, you're right, so you can, we'll show them this look, this is what we did last time out of it, now we'll do something off of that. But does a game when, you are so familiar schematically in the sense that it was just so recent, so top of mind, does this become a game of whichever team executes better is going to be the team that wins? Because you're not going to surprise them a ton either way.
That's right. And typically in the playoffs, it does come down to some level of execution down the stretch. It's a matchup world in the playoffs. You can pretty much throw records out. You can throw out who the home team is and the away team. And a lot of times it's just going to come down to, all right, it's a tight game. It's the fourth quarter. You got 5 minutes or less. Both teams are going to get the ball 2 or 3 times maybe. And who can execute and make 1 or 2 plays down the stretch that are going to be the difference in that game. And, a lot of times it does come down to a kick. It does come down to making a great catch. And I think in those moments, a lot of times your players with experience are the ones that rise to that occasion because they've been groomed for that moment. It's not too big for them. They're focused. They're ready for it, and they're ready to perform and live out their dream in those moments.
It's going to be a fun one on Saturday. This is pretty surreal. We started this with the Der Kaiser story. He died yesterday.
What?
Franz Beckenbauer died. I mean, it's all over BBC Sport. It's everywhere. He died at age 78. The crazy thing is we were texting about this yesterday, and I hadn't thought about him in years, and only because you were living in Munich did I think about it. And I looked up on Wikipedia. I'm like, I think he's still alive, and he was, and he has just passed. So
wow.
From a perspective, so he's the greatest German football player ever, and in Munich he was obviously the captain of the World Cup winning team. Then he was the manager of the World Cup winning team in 1990, and he was on the board and the most prominent figure of Bayern Munich for most of his life. He played his club career at Bayern Munich. Hoff, you are going to experience a worldly thing today in Munich and into tomorrow of mourning. It would be like Babe Ruth, DiMaggio, Tom Brady, and Michael Jordan all rolled up into one, man. That's crazy.
Wow. It's
that is wild. It just happened.
Wow. Layering that news on top of an already kind of crazy part of history day. Like right now, I dropped my kids off at school in the morning, and we got an email when we woke up from our school like, hey, there's planning to be these nationwide protests today from farmers, truck drivers, and stuff. And if you can't make it to school because you either can't get here because the roads are blocked, or you can't get there because you have no other way but the bus, like we understand, you're excused. Drop the kids off. We turn around, we start coming home, and all of a sudden, literally thousands of John Deere tractors and a couple red ones, all of a sudden are like blocking off the streets. There's police everywhere. And Annie and I walked to work out like close to our house where you could kind of look over Leopoldstrasse, which is like the main thoroughfare through Munich. And it was crazy because every TV in the entire workout place, no matter what channel it was on, was filled with live reporters that we were like looking down on the street that were reporting live. And I'd look up on the TV and they were on the TV. And, I've only been in Germany a week, so I really don't understand what's happening. But other than like, this is a big moment because everybody that's walking down the street is filming. Everybody on the street from a media standpoint has got their cameras out. And layering that on top of the passing of Derek Kaiser, obviously been, it's a surreal moment, when you feel like, hey, 10, 20, 30 years from now, even when I'm back in the States, you look back on this moment and being part of that history as kind of a surreal, unbelievable moment.
It absolutely is. Just crazy. Great talking to you, my friend, and we'll be back and hopefully breaking down a Browns win next Monday.
Let's go.
Enjoy the week in Germany, my friend.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. Can't wait to talk to you guys next week.
Off.
All right, there he is, Joe Thomas, the Joe
Miss
Thomas
him so
half out.
close,
That is
so far.
crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That all of that
Yeah.
went down. It is Black Monday in the NFL. We have a bunch of coaches already fired. Go ahead.
I was just saying, don't you think, like, hey, if you can get into the next Bayern Munich game will be, wouldn't you think will be
My God,
a complete
it would be
honoring of him?
Yes, he would. Yeah, I mean it's it's all wrapped into one with him. Like this is their sport, and he's the best of their sport, and he was a Munich legend and a German legend, like all of it. No, yeah,
That's the game Hoff's got
that's
the
the
biggest
one.
family.
Yeah,
too.
he's got to make sure he's at that one for sure. Second hour up next. Cleveland Browns Daily 850 ESPN Cleveland. You and your pup ready for the game this weekend? Stop in Pet Supplies Plus, Fairview Park on Thursday, January 11th, 2 to 3 to join our pup rally. Wear your best Browns gear for a chance to win prizes. Get your pup's picture with Chomps. Even have a chance to meet a Browns alumni. For more information, visit the Browns Facebook page. Pet Supplies Plus is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. So the Golden Globes were last night, and you guys, that was our locker room?
That was our locker room.
That space?
That space, yeah. It was kind of around on the various layers. There were little seated lockers set up with.
Did you know in the moment that that's where they host the Golden Globes?
Oh, yeah. It's all over the hotel. You can't walk around the hotel without knowing it. Yeah.
Does the room seem big enough to host an award show?
It's a very small room, which is why I think people who go to the Golden Globes like it. It is not a big room. I mean, it's a big room, but it's not a massive auditorium.
But you can see when you watch the Golden Globes, like the tables are on top of each other.
Yeah.
Like it's tough to even walk between
in
tables.
your head, though, you think award ceremony that it's in this huge space.
It is not that. No.
Yeah.
No.
That's wild.
I have pictures of that locker room.
Yeah.
And I look and I go, wow, the Golden Globes were there last night.
It's cool.
I watched for about 8 seconds, and it was not funny. And then I said, well, that's enough. I like Gervais on that. I like somebody who just cuts them all in half.
Yeah. That was not this.
That was not that. So I did have at the HBO has been running Sopranos one season every day. So Friday it was 1, and then Saturday was 2, and then yesterday was 3. And so as Bills Dolphins went to break, I was like, I wonder which one they're on. It was Pine Barrens, and I went, oh my God.
I saw that.
I mean, come on, this is why I still have cable. That's why, so I can flip over for 20 minutes and see Maltasanti and Paulie Walnuts running around in the frigid Pine Barrens sucking down ketchup packets.
That's great.
That's the whole point.
I'm itching everywhere.
It's unbelievable. The Czechoslovakian interior decorator his apartment looked like.
Oh, man.
It's just perfect. It was such a great episode. And then the Gloria Trillo. Wow. Formidable.
Yeah.
She was terrifying. We have had a bunch of firings already.
Yes.
Our boy Arthur Smith was let go in the cover of night. That was around a little past midnight when he was relieved of duties in Atlanta. The Commanders have fired Ron Rivera. The Panthers have fired general manager Scott Fitterer. He is out now as well. There are a total of 5 head coaching positions open at the moment: Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, Falcons, Commies. The Commies have hired Bob Myers, who is the architect of the Golden State Warriors operation, to help them, along with Rick Spielman, identify coach and general manager candidates. We know our guy, Glenn Cook, who's been spectacular here, a proud graduate of the U, that he is interviewing for the job in Washington. So we know that is happening as well.
He is also a candidate. Mary Kay is also saying grant permission for assistant GM Glenn Cook to interview with the Commanders for their top personnel post. But I don't know if that's – I'm assuming that's GM for the top personnel post, or is that –
teams, it just depends on organizational structure.
Yeah.
They could just call it something else, like head of player personnel or something.
Yes.
Might just have a different name for it.
Yeah, because it's also they also say head of football operations, so it sounds like he could be in the running for a number of different titles.
He's a smart guy. You'd want him in the room.
Sure.
So that would make a lot of sense. Jim Harbaugh, who is going to coach Michigan tonight in the national championship game against Washington, has already been linked to like 3 of these jobs. He was linked to the Raiders job. The Chargers seem to be the front runner. He has the familiarity with organization and ownership, and then the Commies have already reached out to his representation as well.
Who's the hotter candidate, Harbaugh or Belichick, if he comes on the market?
So did you guys see Belichick's press conference this morning?
No. It was just sad. Everything about that was sad. What a sad way to go out.
Suck way to go out.
Terrible. He was covered up, sick.
Well, so there was a quick aside, there was a great soundbite from Ezekiel Elliott last night where he said, as a kid, I always wanted to play in a snow game, and then I'm paraphrasing, and then once I actually played one, it really sucks.
It stunk.
And to me, that basically is everybody who says, I love watching football in snow blizzards and all of this stuff. No, you like watching it on TV.
Right.
You don't want to go sit in the stands
Nope.
and in a blizzard or in a downpour and watch football. It's the same thing as a player. Like,
Those,
it looks like a good idea until you have to do it, and then it sucks.
Those people in Baltimore on Saturday.
Oh, my God. That's right. Oh, that's football weather. No, it's not. It's miserable.
No,
It's miserable.
It's great.
Awful.
Played in a dome.
Yeah, baby. Climate controlled.
It's awesome.
That's great.
You know, it's great.
I like
70 degrees.
comfortable.
No, 70 degrees, maybe a 5-mile-an-hour breeze they kind of circulate in there at most.
Perfect.
Can't beat it.
Yeah, that's it.
Not going to get wet.
No, not going to freeze.
Not going to freeze. Let me tell you something.
It was sucking down ketchup packets.
It was frigid in Cincinnati.
Was it?
Because it was such a wet, damp cold.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was 30 degrees, windy. It was.
What was the crowd like? Did they?
They were there for the first half. Pretty big. It was
then they
a
said,
much bigger
"It's
crowd
enough."
than I thought. And then, yeah, people said, yeah.
I did see Jake Browning's girlfriend.
I bet you did.
She was prominently
Broke
featured.
the internet in the second quarter.
Yeah, she was prominently featured on the broadcast.
Yeah.
I guess if you're going to go big,
Go big. Week 18, meaningless game.
swing as big as you can.
That
It's your
felt like
last shot.
It felt like a Super Bowl outfit.
Well, for sure. And he said, post game, he said, I feel like I'm one of the 32 best quarterbacks. But like, there's going to be 6 first-round pick quarterbacks potentially in
And
this
he's an
draft,
exclusive rights free agent.
and they completely control him. He can't go anywhere. So, yeah, there's no path there.
I do have a couple other things.
Real quick, I forgot to finish
Go
the
ahead.
Belichick.
Sorry.
Put a loop
Yeah.
on the
Oh,
Belichick
yeah,
part
yeah.
of it. He very much this morning made it. The way that it sounded to me was, this is a Bob Kraft decision. I have a contract. I'd love to be back here coaching the New England Patriots, but this is really a Bob Kraft decision on that. And so he could either end up there, which I don't know how you could trust him to handle another quarterback, because they're going to pick third.
Yep.
There's no way you're going to allow him to have Drake May or Jaden Daniels or whatever. Or you trade him for assets would be the ways to do it. And of these jobs that are open, the only one of these that would seem to make any sense for him would be the Chargers.
Right.
But that also seems like the number one spot for Harbaugh.
Chargers would be a good one. I feel like the Raiders have to go with Pierce, don't they?
Yeah, they played so hard. And
They
they're
have guys like
rebuilding anyway. I mean,
yeah.
they don't have a quarterback, so they're going to be trying to sort things out. I guess Jimmy Garoppolo's coming back next year, theoretically, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Carolina's a mess. It's
Mess.
the worst job by 1,000.
Falcons is good. If you can come in there and trade for Fields, then all of a sudden I think you've got a good job.
Well, what about the Falcons with Cousins?
Or Cousins, sure.
How did the GM in Atlanta get a pass?
I think he's drafted pretty good players.
Their roster,
But you don't have a quarterback.
But that a lot of people don't, and they have everything else. Like
Right.
they are the team. Like if the quarterback paratroops in,
Yes.
you're
They're
set.
the favorites in that division. Yes.
Yeah, for a while, because they're young everywhere. Their defense is good. They got tons of skill position talent. They just need to land the quarterback, and there's going to be a ton of them available. Like Fields, Cousins off the top. There's going to be a ton of them in this draft. You could have people moving off of quarterbacks to draft one of these younger guys.
Absolutely.
So there will be Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, who you'll see tonight in the national championship game.
You should watch him, too.
He's
If
great.
you have not seen
He's
him
great.
because you live out on the East Coast.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
He's great. Started at Indiana. He's been absolutely great. So you have those 4. I'm missing somebody who I'm blanking on. There's possibility J.J. McCarthy. Well, he's not going to. He'll go pro one way or the other. The Michigan quarterback. He could be a first-round pick. And then Quinn Ewers at Texas. Who am I missing?
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix at Oregon. Yep, there's another one. I just named 7 guys who could all go first round if they come out.
Yeah.
There's not enough spots to go around. So, like, there's going to be some movement at the quarterback position going forward for sure.
Rams DC Raheem Morris interviewing with the Commanders for their head coaching job, but a former Browns coach is also interviewing Anthony Weaver. The Washington Commanders have requested permission to interview Ravens associate head coach and D-line coach Anthony Weaver for their head coach job.
And Aaron Glenn, also a former Browns coach.
There you go.
Yeah. Commies are picking second. Is that right? So it goes Bears, Commies, and then Patriots. And then Cardinals pick 4. Cardinals are going to be able to sit there and just take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4.
Yep. Not
And
too
and
shabby.
by the way, if you're route man Marv, pretty good.
Pretty good. And
Valley
Kyler's
of the
good.
Sun,
Yeah.
Kyler,
Yes.
uniform
Yeah.
upgrade.
Bears, Washington, New England.
Larry Fitz puts his arm around you.
Arizona. Chargers have the 5th pick.
Chargers are 5th.
Chargers
Boy,
are
that
fifth.
job just got a lot more appealing,
Wow.
too, with all the talent
Giants
there.
6th, Titans 7th.
What are the Chargers?
Falcons 8th again. They pick 8th every year.
They do pick 8th every year.
I think it's at least 3 years in a row. Bijan was 8.
Yep, for sure. Wasn't Pitts?
This is the third year in a row.
Third
they
year
took
in a row.
London, Bijan,
London,
and then
Bijan.
this one.
Pitts may have been
London-
4.
Oh, yeah, he was up, yeah. Yeah, he actually went ahead of Jamar Chase.
And then the
didn't
Bears have 9.
he? So the Bears are picking 1 and 9.
1 and 9. So they can get a
if
get
you're
a
the-
weapon there too.
They
You're
get
the
Roma
Chargers, you
Dunze,
play
the
this right.
receiver out of Washington.
Yep.
Like, you already have your quarterback. You could turn that pick into a lot of things.
Yeah, or they could stay at 5 and take Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia, who's a superhuman, and give him somebody for Herbert to throw to. I don't know all their organizational needs, but he's a plug and play ready to go if he's out there. That
Yeah.
would be a big hit for them. Yeah, so it's going to be a wild couple of weeks in the league, and that draft will be the way that Fields behaved post-game yesterday, which, by the way, did you guys see the hit he took?
And they didn't
no-
even
no-
look at it.
no
No
penalty?
flag. And then they didn't take him out of the game either.
How? That's a penalty always.
Always. Well,
He
so is
gave
Joe
himself
Flacco
up.
got hit in the
That's
head
right.
and ripped his
Whacked.
face mask off.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah, no,
That's
that
it.
was crazy.
And one other thing on this, because
What did he say post game though? Because you did.
I'm sorry. Very much had the attitude of
This is it.
This is it.
Yeah.
Like he knows that it'll be out somewhere. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
It just makes sense.
it makes sense organizationally.
Just makes
Reset the clock, and Caleb is really, really good, and
Yeah.
so it makes sense on a lot of fronts. And I think he still has a bright future. One thing that really is annoying me now is you see every broadcast has the old referee who comes on, and all they do is corroborate what's done on the field.
Every time.
Like when they brought the guy on to talk on that Fields hit, he goes, well, he gave himself up a little bit late. He already started his motion. I'm going, this is a penalty always.
Buddy.
Always.
Yeah. Well, there was the one in the
Crazy.
pretty sure when I was watching the Steelers Packers in preparation for the Steelers game, and Charles Davis was on the call. The one where they called the Steelers threw a backwards pass that went on the ground and was picked up by the Packers for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And they called it incomplete and then reviewed it and called it, and he threw it like 3 yards backwards. And Charles Davis on the broadcast, the guy was the same exactly as you're describing. He's like, "Come on, like."
Did he?
Yeah, he was like, "This is absurd." Like,
Good
that's
for him.
absurd. That ball went 2 yards backwards.
Good.
It's plain as day.
Yeah. Like,
It's-
stop
it's,
it.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. No, I don't like that. I'll tell you what. I thought the Steelers Ravens game was actually a tough listen. And I love Orlovsky. I like Louis Riddick as well. I just think
Yeah.
in the context of the game, you could tell like Riddick really wants to get his stuff in, and they were just belaboring not throwing the ball to Pickens. Like they must have complained about Pickens not getting the ball
Yeah.
100 times, and then Oh my god!
Stop it. Stop it. Car coat, pea coat.
The shades.
By the way,
Shades.
he was
We haven't
walking
seen the
around on
sun
the
in
sideline
weeks.
yesterday. What was he wearing on the sideline yesterday?
I wasn't down there. It was
Pre-game.
too cold for me.
Too cold. Oh, how times have changed.
Times have changed. Yeah.
He was peacocking around on the
I,
sidelines.
I could
Yeah.
see it from the booth.
Yeah, he looked great. He was in one of his pea coats. He looked great. I mean, the shades that were
This whole operation.
that was
Popped pea coat,
That
too.
was incredible.
course.
That
Would
was
you
incredible.
want to hear from Jameis now or next?
Hold on. Next? I think it was
Real quick, though. Who was the play-by-play on that game? Was it Fowler?
yeah, it was Fowler.
So that's another part of it. So
So what I was gonna say is situation like they were lamenting. The Steelers were up 7
yeah,
in the red zone at the end of the game, and they kept running the ball. And Orlovsky's like, yeah, of course they're running the clock, and Rick's like, yeah, but they got Pickens 1-on-1 here. He couldn't get off that point.
I don't think you should be a three-man booth
I think it's hard.
unless it's old Monday Night Football. It's too difficult to balance it. We haven't had three-man booths are tough, man.
Yes.
They tried it after Monday Night Football had it. Like we all grew up with it on Monday Night Football with Gifford and Deerdorf and Michaels, and before that Cosell, and they had the three-man booth. But then once that happened, they tried a bunch of people in that three-man. At one point, Dennis Miller,
Yeah, yeah.
for God's sakes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tony Kornheiser
I was
was on
gonna
Monday
say,
Night Football
Kornheiser.
for a little bit. It's hard to do a three-man booth. And most of the times when you have a three-man booth, somebody's there for comic relief. But in this instance, everyone's an analyst.
Yes.
So it's not going to work.
No, and it's like remember the jackrabbit thing? Like
Yeah.
it was odd. They had a 3-man booth on our game. I haven't heard anybody comment on it. I don't know if people watch the TV broadcast of it, but it was Tom McCarthy. It was James Lofton and Jay Feely. And I wonder if they kind of use Feely more in special teams areas of the game. I don't know.
Uno, media critique, go.
I wasn't paying that much attention to the game, but I felt like James Lofton didn't talk the whole time. I felt like it was McCarthy and Feely.
Oh, really?
And Lofton just kind of every once in a while had a comment.
Yeah,
like
you get
Feely was
steamrolled.
doing more analyzing than Lofton was, I thought.
How did he already change, and now he's over there?
Wait, where's the Pico? Where's the
How did
Chase?
he do that? Does he have a transporter? He just walked by.
Yes.
And then he ended up in the kitchen.
He's here again.
Does he have a plate of food, and then he was through? I don't know. He's magic. man.
Magic.
Guy's
He's
a
running
magician.
business. He's running business.
He's running business. That's what he's doing.
That's what he's doing.
All right, we will take a look at the Super Wildcard weekend. We'll play some of that Jameis bite from you. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Rumpke Waste Recycling, family owned and operated 90 years, driven by a strong sense of pride in making the world a cleaner, greener place for future generations to live. Learn more by visiting rumpke.com. Before we get into the Super Wild Card weekend, do we have – so the setup is this. It's 41-17. The Saints are beating the Falcons. There is an interception by the Saints against the Falcons that is tackled inside the 2-yard line. They have the ball inside the 2 and are in victory formation, where instead of taking a knee, Jameis Winston hands it to Jamal Williams, who scores a touchdown. Jamal Williams, as a quick footnote, led the NFL in touchdowns a year ago.
17.
So this is not someone who's never scored or some veteran who'd been a Saint his whole life and was dying to score. He's actually with the Lions last year.
And the Packers before
Packers before that. So he's been in the touchdown a lot. So anyway, they score. It leads to a heated exchange between the now fired Arthur Miller and Dennis Allen. Arthur Miller.
Listen, he is the crucible. Get him out of here.
Arthur Miller. You got Marilyn Monroe. Did have her.
Yeah.
Good job out of him. Far more accomplished than our guy.
Far more.
So
probably less smug.
Much less smug. So never big death of a salesman guy either. Anyway, this leads to this confrontation, and then post game they're like, "What happened?" And then they went to Jameis, and this is what he said.
Well, I apologize to DA because the play was victory. But I also explained to DA that it was a team decision. And I think when you have a team morale, and I asked the guys, I say, guys, like, what do you want to do? We know how much Jamal means to this team, and I understood from DA's perspective. So I give him that. But DA didn't condone that at all. You know, he didn't. However, we decided as a team to do it, and man, we got an interception to the 1-yard line. You know, like. So if we would have scored, would it still would have been disrespectful?
Right.
You know. So
Tyron wasn't in on it, was he?
No, Tyron was not in it.
No, I'm just kidding.
Like it was an offensive team discussion. However, when you return the ball to the 1-yard line, and you have that opportunity. We just had that opportunity, and we decided.
Do you think it's the kind of thing, though, that is forgotten fairly quickly, or, you know what I mean?
I think it should be forgotten, especially when the score is already 41-17. So I don't know how much worse it can get. But I got a ton of respect for Arthur Smith and the coach that he is. I think they do some incredible things. I didn't want to disrespect him. That was not my intention. My intention was to lead the team that I've been with the entire year, and we made a collective decision that we wanted to get one of our guys who they fight with blood, sweat, and tears every game in the end zone. And I'm going to feel good about that. Yeah.
So no regrets, huh?
No
regrets.
Well, this is the thing. It's about the team. It's not about regrets. It's not about anything else. It's about us as a team making a collective decision. But I do apologize to Dennis. I apologize to DA because that was not his call.
When you said decision made, was it right there on the spot, right when y'all won?
What decision are you talking about?
At the end.
Okay. At the end, what decision?
To go for the touchdown.
To go for the touchdown.
Was that something decided on the sideline after the pick, or did you wait till you got out there to do it?
We decided on the field as a team. I mean, we don't regret. Do we regret for scoring 41 points on them? Do you think we regret that?
Well, you do have to play these guys twice a year. That's all I'm saying.
We already played them twice.
I know, but I'm talking about the future. You know, somebody's got to play these guys twice a year. That's all.
How do you feel about it? Tell me how you feel about it.
Not good.
Why don't you feel good about it?
Because you got to play these guys twice a year.
But what about it makes you not feel good about it?
I just don't. The head coach tells you to kneel it out. You're asking my opinion?
Yes.
I think you should have kneeled it out.
Okay. Well,
I'm just telling you as respectfully as I can. You answer my question as respectfully as you could, and I'm telling you as respectfully as I can that I respectfully disagree with you. That's all.
you disagree with me or the entire team?
10.
Made that decision.
Okay, so you disagree with the entire team. So thank you.
No, I'm just being honest and respectful.
And that's what I'm attempting to do too. Yes. And that's what I am doing.
So,
yes.
That's unbelievable.
So good.
So I want to know who's the guy. That's what I want to know. Is who's the guy who's like respectfully.
Somebody with it's got to be somebody with
a lot of
the
New
Times
Orleans.
Picayune.
I was going to say the same thing. I think that's a Times Picayune, if ever.
Yeah,
that would be
What's
it.
that guy's? It's like Jeff. Let's see, Saints Times Picayune. I don't know.
That feels like who it would be.
Yeah.
Or either that or a longtime television face.
Yeah,
in
he had a
New
good
Orleans.
voice. He did have a good voice.
Yeah. Somebody like that someone who's been in New Orleans a long time. Jameis trying to rationalize it was amazing.
It's incredible.
Like
Well,
how
are you mad at me or are you mad at the whole team?
that was amazing, and then the part where he's talking about how
Jeff Duncan, is that the name of the guy?
what's the difference if we scored on an interception versus down at the 1 yard line? What's the difference?
Yeah.
It's just great.
Yeah, Jeff Duncan. That feels like Jeff Duncan's from the Times-Picayune.
That would seem to be the
Yeah.
difference. Yeah, a little bit of clout to it.
Yeah, there definitely was. Yeah, respectfully.
Respectfully.
I'm being respectfully, just being honest, and respectfully disagree.
I agree with you.
Respectfully.
You said when they were talking about that, that's the stupidest thing ever. Is if Atlanta's going to like hold that next year, who cares? Be a totally new staff,
coach,
new quarterback,
new quarterback. There's turnover on the roster. There's a good chance.
Yeah,
it feels like Jameis isn't going to be on the roster next year in New Orleans. So it's like it has no bearing. And if that's the kind of oh, man, they beat us 41-17, and then they scored one extra touchdown on us.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that it came out of victory, I almost feel like you needed to come out in like an I formation, just like handle
so deceiving to come in victory.
Yeah, like it's a little
it's something like
ridiculous.
I could see you doing.
No.
I could see Bootsy doing it for sure. Your spirit animal would do that.
No, see, you could ask.
He would get in victory and then hand it.
No, I
That'd
could.
be
You
his
could
operation.
bring Vince Conde in here as a character witness. When I'm ahead in a blowout situation, I just keep throwing. Like there's, I don't kneel. I don't get a victory formation. I just keep throwing. I have fun and I'm scoring.
We're going.
More scoring.
That's right. No deceit at all. Just
No,
this is just pouring on.
Right.
Is what that would be.
Right.
That was fun.
That's right.
The Jameis, that 3 minutes of Jameis is just
unreal.
Perfect on so many levels and explains so much. All right, here are your matchups for Super Wildcard Weekend. We've talked about our game. We'll continue to all week long against the Texans. That is Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge. That is a 4:30 kick on NBC. The Saturday night game is it's a fantastic game. I mean, it's Dolphins and Chiefs. It's 8 o'clock. It's on Peacock. It's Mike Tirico and Jason Garrett on the call on that. This is the NFL's. Is this their first time doing this, where they are only on an app?
No, there was
an
playoff
Amazon
game. Yes, but when we were in Houston on
games.
Christmas Eve, that Bills Chargers was Peacock only.
That was Peacock as well. So this is the first time a playoff game has been an app only operation. This happens a lot in college sports. You rarely see this big. I think it's the big. I said this earlier. I think it's the biggest sports television / app partner leverage against fans I've seen by far. And then Sunday, the Steelers at Bills. That's 1 o'clock on CBS with Nance and Romo on the call for that one. The Packers at Cowboys. That will be the ratings behemoth. That is 4:30 on Fox with Burkhart and Olsen. And then on Sunday night, this is a fun one, Rams and Lions, 8 o'clock, Tirico and Collinsworth on the call for that. So Tirico's going double duty.
Yep.
He's doing Saturday night and then Sunday night. Kansas City and Detroit. He's getting both of those. That's tough, man. I know how talented you are, but that's tough.
No, that's very tough. They have all those names, and he's not going to get out of Houston.
Out of Kansas City, you mean?
I'm sorry, out of Kansas City.
1 o'clock?
Yeah, in the morning. Yeah, and then you got to get into Detroit. Now, fortunately, it's probably maybe an hour and a half flight.
Maybe PJ, and he'll be up there, yeah.
Yeah.
So they will be on the call on Sunday night.
That's a lot to go through.
That is, and it's there's got to be somebody else that they can
to do the job.
Well, but
at that
NBC's
level.
got 3 because they already have Noah Eagle doing the other game.
Yeah, they have 3.
Because they would have been smarter to have Tirico do our game, and then he would have a little bit more time. I mean, 4 hours is a big deal. When you're working on that small of a margin.
Yes.
And then have Eagle and Blackledge do the Peacock game and have him and Garrett do our game.
Feels
I think
like
we
that's what they
win
should have done.
because Eagle and Blackledge are pretty good.
Yeah, Noah's good.
Yeah, they do a good job. And then Monday Night Football is Buck and Aikman. That is Eagles at Bucks. That is at 8 o'clock on Monday Night Football. Take our game out of it. How do you rate them?
Rams, Detroit. That's probably my number 1. Miami, Kansas City, 2. Green Bay, Dallas, 3.
I think the other two have a chance. I think the one that has a chance to be the most lopsided is Bills Steelers.
I agree with that completely. Yeah. So probably Eagles, Bucks.
The Eagles are
because they're just
battered.
And they're gross.
Yeah.
Like the way they are playing it, they're playing gross football.
Yeah, they are. Hurts had you saw his finger was all mangled.
Yeah.
And then A.J. Brown went down in the game with the knee. Yeah, they have.
Did Devontae Smith play yesterday?
I don't know. It's a good question. Wasn't paying attention to it. that closely to see if he was or not. Once, that was the other thing that happened. Once Jacksonville lost, there was nothing else. It was just kind of seeding wise.
Yep.
And once you have the 1 seeds already locked up, which they both were, heading into the weekend, you're just playing for if you're playing at home or on the road at that point.
Yep.
So it didn't make too much difference. And honestly, I don't know, if you're Philly, what do you care if you're going to Tampa? Not much.
Not much.
There'll be a ton of Eagles fans down there for that. It won't be that raucous.
No, when they knew they were the 5. They were playing. Potentially, they were going to play. If the Panthers actually had lost that game, or if the Bucs had lost the game to the Panthers, I'm sorry, the winner of that division would have had a losing record.
Yeah. So you feel good regardless if you're Philly. The McCarthy Packers thing's kind of fun too.
McCarthy Packers, Stafford Goff.
Yeah, Stafford Goff is really good.
Yeah,
With
Stafford Goff is awesome.
That's really good. Yeah, and
'Cause
that's
it was,
a dangerous Rams team. They're dangerous.
Yeah, Puka Nacua set the rookie receiving record, breaking a record from the 60s, which is so odd that would have been where it was.
Yeah, it's weird that Randy didn't get it.
Yeah.
It's
Or even Jefferson recently.
Yeah. Well, Chase had a monster year too.
Chase
that he
did
didn't
too,
get.
but he was 14 something maybe.
Yeah.
I think that the Stafford Goff one, because that trade was made for the now for the Rams. They win a Super Bowl. It was made for the future for the Lions. This is now their future.
Yes.
And so they've got to win this game.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like all pressure's on Goff and the Lions by
He's been
tenfold.
really good, though.
He has, but I mean, it's all on him. I mean, Stafford, it's house money. He had a great career in Detroit. He won a
Agreed.
Super Bowl with the Rams, validated the career, and he's still beloved up there too. I don't know that there's any.
Pretty wild that they are going to probably be without Sam Laporta.
Well, so that's the other thing. They
because
played
of
their
playing
guys.
Their guys.
Yeah, they played. Philly played their guys. They played, and then the Lions played their guys.
Yep.
And the Lions were playing for what? Like the remote chance of being the 2 seed?
Yeah.
Dallas lost?
Yeah.
Dallas was playing the commies.
Well,
like
then they
were
got robbed against Dallas. Think about if they had that outcome different. Maybe they rested. Maybe they got Sam Laporta. They're the 2 seed.
Oh, yeah.
Playing the Packers instead of the Rams.
That's a robbery. That remains.
Yes, most certainly does. By the way, Puka Nacua, 1,486 yards. Jamar Chase had 1,455.
One more game for Nacua.
Then Chase's rookie year. 17.
Versus 16.
Yeah. And that would have, by the way, done it. No, his rookie year, he played 17, 21.
So we've been at 21
This is
games
the third
since.
year.
Oh, okay. So we had it.
Yep.
What did Randy get as a rookie in Minnesota? He had to be close. He had to be like 13 something, right?
Let's see. Run them all.
And like 12 touchdowns. He
Randy,
might even had more. He
you
might
know
have
you're
more
good
like
when
15
type in
touchdowns.
your first name on Pro
And the
Football
rest.
Reference, and it just comes up right in us. 13, and 17 touchdowns.
17 touchdowns as a rookie.
Yeah.
13. There you go.
He
All
only
right.
started 11 games. 69 catches, 13, 19 yards a catch, 17 touchdowns.
How many games did he play in? All 16?
16, but let me pull up his game. I wonder if
Seems odd that he wouldn't start.
that remember it was
Oh, the old days, yeah. You got to earn it. and-
yeah. He played seemingly kind of right out of the gate, but 5 targets, 8 targets, 10 targets, 4 targets, 2. But then at the end of the season, it was just like
Well, the
throwing
coming
the
out
ball.
party was the Cowboys game was when he went nuts.
well, that was 3 catches, 163 yards, 54.3 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. And they passed on him. The Cowboys passed on him in the draft.
Oh man.
Pet Supplies Plus is a winning team. They crush the competition with everyday low prices, more selection, powerhouse lineup of fan favorites like Purina Pro Plan and more. Great for dogs, cats, fish, and reptiles. Pet Supplies Plus is your MVP. Your great clip of the game. We have our opponents for next season as well. That's all coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. part of one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL. Join Next Gen STM, presented by Ticketmaster. Official waitlist of the Cleveland Browns. Begin Next Gen STM is the best chance to become a season ticket member in future seasons. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/nextgenstm to reserve your spot today. Time for the great clip of the game, presented by Great Clips. It's going to be great. This is Duron Harmon's first career sack and the Browns' record-breaking 49th sack.
From their own 16-yard line, McCarron back to pass on third down, and down he goes. Wow! Duron Harmon blows in and gets him on a blitz back at the 6-yard line. He KO'd him.
How about this for Duron Harmon? That is the first sack of his National Football League career. The 11-year veteran, the 3-time Super Bowl champion. He had 24 picks, 0 sacks. And by the way, that sack now sets a Cleveland Browns new single-season franchise record with 49 this season.
That's pretty cool.
It was very cool, and I actually saw Duron as we got off the plane, and I was like, dude, first career sack? How about? He goes, it was awesome. And I told him that it set the Browns franchise record for a single season, and he loved it. He was fired up. I mean, the guy's been here a couple of games. I think Houston maybe was his first game or second game. I think Chicago was his first game. So he's been here now for 4 games.
Yeah.
And he had a pick in Houston. He got a sack here. He's like, man, impressive.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We do have, with the season coming to an end, we do have the opponents for next year in terms of knowing who we will play. We'll have, obviously, the AFC North home and away. And then the home schedule next year is as good as I've ever seen from a blockbuster standpoint. Chiefs, Chargers, Cowboys, Giants, Dolphins. So the worst of those would be Giants, and that is one of the 5 or 6 most important franchises in the history of the sport. So that's your home opponents for next year. That's crazy.
Yep.
You've been here a long time. Ever remember better than that?
No, that's pretty good. There's the year that the Patriots came, I feel like we had a bunch of good games that year, but this is pretty good. I mean,
remember the start of 2008 was good because that you opened with the Cowboys here, coming off of the 2007 season.
Yeah. The Giants are the only one that is not necessarily great, but you talk about quarterbacks, Tua, Dak, Herbert, Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow. Yeah, that's a pretty darn good slate. You know, it's going to be tough to go 7-1. We went 8-1 this year. It's going to be tough to go 7-1 next year at home.
I mean, if they make it past Valentine's Day, maybe T Swift will come.
Away is a little bit better. And as soon as I saw this, you have to wonder, do we get the Jags in London?
You guys don't want to go back to London, or do you go to Munich?
Or do you go to Brazil?
That I would
now
love
you're talking
to do.
about it.
Yeah.
So at Broncos again. My God, how
Always.
many times at Denver?
Always.
Feels like you guys go to Denver every year. You go to Denver
every year.
At least it's not Houston.
I mean, you go to Denver like. Does it feel like you go to Denver every year? Am I exaggerating or?
No, you're not wrong. By the way, not a lot of short flights on this road schedule this year.
No.
Philly and Washington are probably the best.
New Orleans and Jacksonville aren't terrible.
Not that close.
No, but they're not. I mean,
we still have Vegas and
it's not like
Denver.
this year where you guys were West Coasting it for 2 weeks.
Right.
Like you won't have to do that.
Well, this year we had Seattle.
In Seattle, true.
Seattle, L.A., Denver. But we got Vegas, Denver.
So is this our? No, we played in Vegas.
No,
this
is
our
it.
first time.
This is the first
So
time.
that'll be fun for Browns fans to get that.
That'll
first
be the big
to
trip. I
Vegas.
feel like Browns Nation goes on.
We want the Chargers and the Dolphins here late in the season. That's what I want from the home slate. I want those to be December games.
Yeah. That's ambitious. That's what happens when you finish second.
It's a tough schedule. It's a second place schedule. It got us the second placeness of it. Got us the Dolphins. It got us
the Saints,
which is fortunately not that bad, and the Jags.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this year we benefit 9 at home. Next year it's 9 on the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
one
the thing
of those,
too. When people are asking about the divisions and stuff like that. That's the reason that a division winner gets a home playoff game is because, number one, I think it's a fun thing to play for, but every division's schedule is so different.
Yeah.
So that overall records are not really apples to apples from one division to another.
True. I think the issue that people have is what's happened in the 2 South divisions, and the fact that Philly Like,
then just beat them in the playoffs, because even if you had been the 4 seed and they were the 5, you're going on the road the next round anyway. So if you're better, just go beat them.
Go beat them, yeah. Yeah, we've just seen some lopsided where, like, near 500 teams are hosting teams, 11-5 or 12-4 or whatever. I do think, I'll tell you the one thing that every time the schedule comes out, I miss a 16-game schedule.
Yes,
I know we're not going back, but it's just 4-4-4 works, 8-8 works. It's just easy. I think that we've seen this year, like, you can't go to 18 regular season games. Like, these teams are mash units across the board, and I know they're never going to give one back. I get it, I understand it. It's box office, but man, 8-8 that's the sweet spot. You had it right.
I also think the final month of the season should be kind of like in baseball, where all of a sudden you can have bigger rosters. You can call the people
That's
up.
a great idea.
I think starting in December, after Thanksgiving, you should be able to call up as many guys from the practice squad every week that you want.
They have to do that. You can't be in a situation you are in. I mean, this league is decimated by injury.
Right, but it would have been so nice for the Browns, for example, in the
bring a
second game
bunch
to
of
let
guys up.
Isaiah Thomas get some run this year, get A.J. Green
Yes.
some run, guys that have not gotten
Developmental
get
players.
Jalen Darden in a game at wide receiver, Austin
great point.
Watkins. Like,
That's simple, too. That's easy to do.
easy. Just say, here's the cutoff from this point forward. You have you're not limited to 2 practice squad call-ups.
Yeah, that's pretty simple. That solves it. So much more to come. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Well, that's a little teaser. It is next. It is next.
That's right.
OBM, preferred provider of copiers and document services with Cleveland Browns. Tackle any size office at 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. National championships tonight. You going to watch?
Of course.
7:30 kick. So that's a win.
I like that. Much better. Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes it at least
I'm watching with the
sort of
kid.
tenable. Oh, for the alma mater for the kid.
Yeah.
What do you do when you have him and S in the same place? Like
They asked
1 minute, 1 minute.
No, but can you imagine if they were? Have
I
they ever
mean,
been at the same place?
There are going to be a few Buckeye fans over who are like, I don't know if they're.
Oh, Washington. Yeah, they're not.
I don't know.
Yeah, they will be.
In
There's
front
no
of the
way they're-
kid?
In front of the kid, you got
No way.
There's no way they're rooting for Michigan.
Why not Big Ten?
No,
Why not? Where's the love?
no
You're
love.
going to root for the Huskies?
No love. It's going to be the
Steve
craziest thing
Edman?
ever because they're going to wake up like tomorrow. The Michigan program it's 4 NCAA investigations. Harbaugh going to the NFL, totally new roster, but they have this one night to see if they can do it. And Washington feels like a team of destiny, so we'll see.
30-30.
You think Washington's winning it?
I'm rooting for them because I like Penix and I like the story. I don't hate Michigan the way that
Others do.
but it does feel like that they'll have an ability to throw the ball down the field. They have 9 6-year players. Washington does. So think about that. They get 24-year-olds at big positions. So we'll see. Going to be a fun one for sure.
Oh, man.
The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.